Hi farm friends, my name's Georgia from Grow My Goodness here in the beautiful Bay of Plenty, New Zealand. If you're interested in vegetables, flowers, small scale farming and market gardening, then come and join me for my journey because we are just getting started. In this video, we're going to talk about the design and layout of the garden beds. I've come from the city in Wellington. I've got no farming experience. We've been on the property for about 6 months. My family and I invested in a lifestyle block and we decided we were going to do something different. We were going to change our lives and start farming, start a market garden. Coming from the city, I've had no experience in growing anything. I've never grown a vegetable or a flower, and now we're trying to make something to provide vegetables and fresh produce for our local community. Shortly after we moved here, we went on a market gardening course at Jody Roebuck's farm in the Taranaki. And that was really interesting, really exciting. He's got a fully operational market garden. Jody showed us the daily operations of his farm and it gave us a lot of information to get started. So we started about 6 months ago working with a big patch of grass, and today we're going to show you how we've turned that grass into our garden beds. So the first step for us was measuring out how big is our garden going to be. The first garden that we did, based on the space we had, we fit 14 beds, and those beds are at 70 centimeters or about 30 inches, and we've gone for 30 centimeter paths or about 12-inch paths. We did make the paths really small, but we wanted to go intensive and make the most of the space. For our second garden, we had a bit more space to work with. We've ended up with 24 beds. The beds are 14 meters long, which is about 46 feet. After we'd measured out the garden space, the next step was to cover it with a tarp, kill off the grass and any weeds in there. So we've had these tarps down for about 6 months, and that has done a great job at killing off all the grass and all the weeds under there. Yeah, next. So this is the result of the plastic tarp being down for about 6 months. We can see that this is all dead and it's just going to rake right off. So the next step from here is to mark out the actual bed like we've done here. We'll put pegs in the ground and we just used string to mark out the length of the bed and the path. Rake back as much of the weeds and the grass as we can. Fork it and give it a bit of a tilter as well, and then we'll be adding our compost and amendments to the soil. So the next step for this bed, having measured it out, marked it with the pegs and popped our string along the edges of the bed, is to cut a line down the edge of the bed. Even though we are using a no-dig approach to our garden beds, there is some initial soil disturbance due to these beds being so heavily compacted. It being lawn, there was machinery used on it to keep the lawns mowed, and we think even some storage containers on here. So we have to loosen up the soil, and I'm going to show you guys just how hard this soil is. So this is just going to give us a nice edge on the bed of where we want our soft soil ready for planting. I'm not going to worry about the path because we're going to be walking on that anyway. You can see just how compacted this soil is and how much work it is going to be to break the edges of all of these beds. But after you've done this step, it makes the next step much easier. The next step is going to be forking the bed. This is our broad fork. We managed to score this off Facebook for I think about $80. It's not the fanciest broad fork, but it does the job. We are using this tool to break up the soil and get some oxygen in there as well. You can see I'm having a pretty difficult time forking this ground because of how compacted it is, and my dad's been helping me out a lot with this particular job. This is the tilther. We managed to import this tool into New Zealand from Activista. It is probably the greatest thing ever because we did so much work before we got this tool. It was a lot of work to get the soil where it needed to be to then plant. This tool really speeds up the process of preparing the bed for planting. So we've finished forking, and we're going to run the tilther over the bed a couple of times, make it nice and smooth and flat. It's just going to break up that top 1 to 2 inch of the soil, and then it will be ready to add our layer of compost. So as you can see, it's working quite hard to break through on this first rundown of the bed. We've got one of the highest powered drills on the market, and we put it on the highest setting. There's a lot of clumps in this bed that we're trying to break up into some nice fine soil. Now we're going to smooth it out with the rake. We got this landscaping rake for about $130, and it's about 70 centimeters or about 30 inches, so it kind of fits the width of the bed perfectly. We also use this for making a grid on our bed when we're doing transplants of seedlings into the bed, which we'll talk about another time. Now we're going to smooth this out and get rid of any of these remaining clumps of weeds and roots. This is my dad. He's helping me. He's my cameraman.
Okay, show people this.
So here we have it, the result of a measured, cut, forked, raked and tilted bed. Here is our big pile of dead grass and weeds that we've removed. But we've got some pretty good looking soil here. We have tilted and raked the bed. It's nice and flat and it's ready for compost. We've got 4 beds ready to go. We've just got this compost yesterday. It's a little bit warm than probably what we want to be using, but it is what it is, so we're going to put it on anyway. It's early spring here in New Zealand, so it's time to get moving and get these beds ready and get some plants in the ground. That was fast. So that's pretty much it for these beds for today. We're just going to give them some water and cover them back over with one of our tarps. We'll leave that for a couple of weeks and then open them back up. We'll run the tilther through, give them a few amendments, give it one last rake, make it nice and smooth and flat, and they'll be ready for some seedlings. We've got some seeds growing in the glass house, so they should be ready in a couple of weeks to go into the beds. Just a quick note on the paths. We haven't done anything with the paths yet. We've been weighing up whether to do wood chip or nothing at all. I think we're leaning towards wood chip, but we will update you guys later when we get to that. So that's it. That's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, then like this video, and if you want to follow me on this journey, then hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Hi. Are you recording?
Yes.
No. Wait, we haven't started yet because I haven't said enough yet. Oh, and then it could be like. Na, na, na.
Oops. Go.
I don't know if I like this walking in. Nah, that's not it. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say after that. What was my next sentence? I had an. What else? Yeah. Nah. Can't remember where I'm going with that. So. Yeah. Got lost. I got stuck. No, that's not it. Oh no, that's not it. Nah, what are we saying? Nah. Ah!